My beloved child, I see your marriage hanging by a thread. I see the love that once burned bright now reduced to cold embers. I see the words that once brought joy now causing pain. I see the distance between two hearts that once beat as one. But I want you to know something that will restore your hope. I will heal your marriage. What seems dead to you is not dead to me. What appears hopeless is not hopeless with me. I understand the deep pain you're carrying in your heart. I see the tears you cry when you think no one is watching. I hear the prayers you whisper in desperation, wondering if it's too late to save what you once treasured. I feel your confusion about how something that started with such promise could deteriorate to where it is now. Today, I want to speak directly to your wounded heart and your struggling marriage with words of hope, healing, and restoration. I want to show you that no marriage is beyond my power to heal, no love is too far gone for me to restore, and no relationship is too broken for me to rebuild. Your marriage can be saved, your love can be renewed, and your home can be healed. There is a unique kind of pain that comes from watching a marriage slowly die. It's different from sudden loss because it happens gradually, day by day, conversation by conversation, disappointment by disappointment. You watch helplessly as the person you once couldn't live without becomes someone you can barely stand to be around. You remember the early days when you couldn't wait to share every detail of your day with each other. Now you struggle to find anything meaningful to talk about. You remember when their touch brought comfort and excitement. Now physical intimacy feels forced or non-existent. You remember when their presence made you feel complete. Now their presence feels suffocating or their absence feels like relief. The pain is compounded by the memories of what you once had. Every argument reminds you of how easily you used to resolve conflicts. Every cold interaction contrasts sharply with the warmth you once shared. Every day of distance makes you long for the closeness you once took for granted. You've tried to fix things on your own. You've had conversations that went nowhere. You've made promises that were broken. You've read books, attended seminars, maybe even gone to counseling. But nothing seems to work, and you're beginning to wonder if you married the wrong person or if love simply doesn't last. The hardest part is feeling like you're living with a stranger who happens to share your last name. The person you pledged your life to has become someone you don't recognize, or perhaps you've become someone they don't recognize. Either way, the connection that once defined your relationship has been severed, and you don't know how to repair it. Marriages rarely die from one catastrophic event. More often, they die from 1,000 small cuts, unresolved conflicts, unmet expectations, unspoken hurts, and unaddressed issues that accumulate over time until they become a mountain too high to climb. Communication breaks down gradually. What starts as occasional misunderstandings becomes chronic miscommunication. What begins as different perspectives becomes stubborn positions. What starts as passionate disagreement becomes cold silence. Eventually, you stop trying to understand each other and start trying to win arguments or avoid them altogether. Trust erodes slowly. Small betrayals of confidence, broken promises, little lies, and hidden behaviors create cracks in the foundation of trust. These cracks widen over time until the structure of the relationship becomes unstable. Without trust, love cannot flourish, and intimacy becomes impossible. Intimacy disappears gradually. Physical intimacy often dies first: less touching, less affection, less sexual connection. Then emotional intimacy follows: less sharing, less vulnerability, less openness. Finally, spiritual intimacy vanishes: no more praying together, no more sharing faith, no more united purpose. Respect diminishes incrementally. What starts as occasional criticism becomes constant fault-finding. What begins as honest feedback becomes personal attacks. What starts as frustration becomes contempt. When respect dies, love cannot survive, because love requires honor to thrive. But here's what you need to understand. The same process that caused your marriage to deteriorate can be reversed. What died gradually can be resurrected deliberately. What was lost slowly can be restored systematically. What broke down over time can be rebuilt with patience and divine intervention. Before I talk about healing your marriage, I need to remind you of my original design for marriage. Understanding what marriage is supposed to be helps you know what you're working toward and why it's worth fighting for. I designed marriage to be a reflection of my love for my people, unconditional, sacrificial, faithful, and eternal. Your marriage is meant to be a living picture of divine love, showing the world what it looks like when two people choose to love each other the way I love them. I created marriage to provide companionship and partnership. You were not meant to go through life alone, and your spouse was designed to be your closest friend, your strongest supporter, and your most trusted companion. Together, you are stronger than either of you could be alone. I intended marriage to be a place of safety and security. Your home should be a refuge from the storms of life, a place where you can be completely yourself without fear of rejection or judgment. Your spouse should be the person who knows you best and loves you most. I designed marriage for mutual growth and sanctification. Your spouse is meant to help you become the person I created you to be. Through the challenges and joys of marriage, you are refined, matured, and shaped into my image. Iron sharpens iron, and your marriage should sharpen both of you. I created marriage for the blessing and raising of children, for building legacy and creating family. But even if children are not part of your story, your marriage is still meant to be fruitful in other ways. Blessing others, serving together, creating something beautiful together. When your marriage aligns with my design, it becomes a source of joy, strength, and blessing. When it deviates from my plan, it becomes a source of pain, frustration, and disappointment. Healing your marriage means returning to my original blueprint for what marriage should be. You might wonder why I care about healing your marriage when there are so many other problems in the world. Let me tell you why your marriage matters to me and why I'm committed to healing it if you'll let me. First, I hate divorce. Not because I want to trap people in miserable relationships, but because I know the pain that broken marriages cause. I see the devastation in the lives of spouses, children, families, and communities when marriages fail. I know the joy and blessing that comes from healed marriages, and I want that for you. Second, I keep my promises. When you stood before me on your wedding day and made vows to each other, I witnessed those promises. I joined you together, and what I joined together is not meant to be separated. I'm committed to helping you keep the promises you made because I'm a promise-keeping God. Third, your marriage is a testimony to my power. When I heal a marriage that seemed hopeless, it demonstrates my ability to resurrect what was dead, restore what was broken, and renew what was damaged. Your healed marriage becomes proof of my goodness and faithfulness. Fourth, I love both of you. You and your spouse are both my children, and I want what's best for both of you. While divorce may seem like relief in the short term, I know that healing your marriage will bring greater joy, fulfillment, and blessing to both of your lives in the long term. Fifth, your marriage affects generations. The children and grandchildren who come from your union will be blessed by a healed marriage and wounded by a broken one. Your marriage sets patterns and creates legacies that extend far beyond your own lives. I heal marriages because strong marriages create strong families, and strong families create strong communities. Your healed marriage contributes to the healing of society itself. Healing a marriage is a process, not an event. It requires time, patience, commitment, and supernatural intervention. But it is possible, and I will guide you through each step if you're willing to trust me and do the work. The healing process begins with surrender. Both spouses must be willing to admit that they cannot fix the marriage on their own and that they need divine intervention. This requires humility, which is often the hardest part because hurt and pride make us want to blame rather than surrender. Next comes repentance. Both spouses must acknowledge their own contributions to the problems in the marriage. This isn't about keeping score or determining who is more at fault. It's about taking responsibility for your own actions, words, and attitudes that have damaged the relationship. Then comes forgiveness. This is perhaps the most difficult but most essential part of the healing process. You must choose to forgive your spouse for the ways they have hurt you, and you must ask for forgiveness for the ways you have hurt them. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing the hurt, but it means releasing the right to revenge and choosing to move forward. After forgiveness comes rebuilding. This is where you begin to reconstruct trust, intimacy, communication, and connection. It requires consistent effort, patience with setbacks, and commitment to new patterns of relating to each other. Finally comes renewal. This is when your marriage becomes not just restored but actually better than it was before. You develop a deeper love, stronger communication, greater intimacy, and more mature relationship than you had in the beginning. Throughout this entire process, I am with you, guiding you, strengthening you, and working miracles in your hearts and in your marriage. Forgiveness is the foundation of marriage healing. Without forgiveness, trust cannot be rebuilt, intimacy cannot be restored, and love cannot be renewed. But forgiveness in marriage is often complicated because the hurts are deep and ongoing. Forgiveness doesn't mean pretending the hurt didn't happen or that it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean immediately trusting as if nothing occurred. It doesn't mean avoiding accountability or consequences for harmful behavior. Forgiveness means choosing to release your right to punishment and your demand for payment. Forgiveness is a choice, not a feeling. You may not feel like forgiving, but you can choose to forgive. The feelings often follow the choice, but they don't have to precede it. When you choose to forgive, I help you with the feelings. Forgiveness is a process, not a one-time event. You may have to choose forgiveness multiple times as memories resurface, as trust is tested, and as new hurts occur. Each time you choose forgiveness, it becomes easier and more natural. Forgiveness must be both given and received. You must forgive your spouse, but you must also ask for forgiveness for your own failures. And when your spouse asks for forgiveness, you must be willing to grant it genuinely and completely. Forgiveness creates space for healing. When you hold on to resentment, bitterness, and unforgiveness, there's no room in your heart for love to grow. But when you forgive, you create space for new love, fresh intimacy, and renewed connection. I will help you forgive. When forgiveness seems impossible, when the hurt is too deep, when the betrayal is too great, call on me for help. I can give you the grace to forgive what seems unforgivable and the strength to love what seems unlovable. One of the first areas that needs healing in most marriages is communication. Poor communication is both a symptom of marital problems and a cause of marital problems. Learning to communicate well is essential for marriage healing. Start by learning to listen. Most communication problems in marriage stem from both spouses trying to be heard without taking time to truly hear. Practice listening to understand rather than listening to respond. Try to hear not just the words but the heart behind the words. Learn to speak truth with love. Honesty is essential for healthy marriage, but honesty without love is brutal and destructive. Find ways to share difficult truths in loving ways, at appropriate times with constructive purposes. Avoid the communication killers: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. These patterns destroy intimacy and create distance. Replace them with appreciation, respect, responsibility, and engagement. Create regular times for meaningful conversation. Don't just talk about schedules, children, and logistics. Make time to share dreams, fears, thoughts, and feelings. Schedule regular date conversations where you focus on connecting emotionally. Learn to fight fairly. Conflict is inevitable in marriage, but destructive conflict patterns can be changed. Fight about issues, not personalities. Focus on solutions, not blame. Take breaks when emotions get too high. Remember that you're on the same team fighting the problem, not each other. Seek professional help if needed. Sometimes communication patterns are so ingrained that you need outside help to change them. Marriage counseling is not a sign of failure. It's a tool for growth. Intimacy is the deep connection between spouses that involves physical, emotional, and spiritual closeness. When intimacy dies, marriage becomes more like a business partnership or roommate arrangement than a romantic, life-giving relationship. Physical intimacy includes but is not limited to sexual intimacy. It involves non-sexual touch, affection, and physical closeness. Start rebuilding physical intimacy with small gestures, holding hands, hugging, sitting close together. Let physical affection be a natural expression of emotional connection rather than just a prelude to sex. Emotional intimacy involves sharing your inner world with your spouse, your thoughts, feelings, dreams, fears, and experiences. It requires vulnerability, which can be scary when trust has been damaged. Start small and build gradually. Share something meaningful each day. Spiritual intimacy involves sharing your faith journey with your spouse. Pray together, read my word together, discuss spiritual matters, and serve together. When you're united spiritually, it strengthens every other area of your relationship. Rebuilding intimacy takes time, especially if trust has been broken. Don't rush the process or put pressure on yourselves to immediately return to previous levels of intimacy. Let it develop naturally as emotional connection and trust are restored. Create intimacy opportunities. Plan regular date nights, take walks together, have device-free conversation times, and engage in activities you both enjoy. Intimacy grows in an atmosphere of safety, fun, and connection. Every struggling marriage has a history of accumulated hurts, disappointments, and betrayals. These past hurts must be addressed if the marriage is to be healed. You cannot build a healthy future on an unhealed past. Acknowledge the hurts honestly. Don't minimize pain or pretend that hurtful things didn't matter. Both spouses need to acknowledge the pain they've caused and the pain they've experienced. This validation is the first step toward healing. Understand the difference between hurt and harm. Hurt is the emotional pain caused by your spouse's actions or words. Harm is actual damage done to you, your children, or others. Both hurt and harm need to be addressed, but they require different approaches. Seek to understand rather than just to be understood. Try to understand why your spouse acted or spoke in hurtful ways. This doesn't excuse the behavior, but understanding the motivations can help with forgiveness and prevention of future hurts. Take responsibility for your own contributions. Even if your spouse hurt you more, take responsibility for your own actions, words, and attitudes that contributed to the problems. This models the humility and accountability necessary for healing. Set appropriate boundaries. Healing doesn't mean accepting continued harmful behavior. Establish clear boundaries about what behavior is acceptable going forward and what consequences will follow if those boundaries are violated. Get professional help for serious issues. Some hurts are too deep and complex to handle without professional assistance. Addictions, infidelity, abuse, and other serious issues require specialized help. Trust is the foundation of marriage, and when it's broken, everything else becomes unstable. Rebuilding trust is possible, but it requires consistent effort from both spouses over an extended period of time. The spouse who broke trust must take full responsibility without making excuses, blaming circumstances, or minimizing the impact of their actions. They must be willing to be completely transparent and accountable for their behavior going forward. Trust is rebuilt through consistency over time. Words alone cannot restore trust. It requires consistent actions that demonstrate trustworthiness. Every kept promise, every act of transparency, every demonstration of integrity helps rebuild trust. The injured spouse must be willing to give trust a chance to be rebuilt. This doesn't mean naive trust or immediate trust, but it means being open to the possibility of trusting again when trustworthy behavior is demonstrated consistently. Establish verification systems temporarily. While trust is being rebuilt, it may be necessary to have ways to verify trustworthy behavior. This might include shared access to phones, computers, or bank accounts. These measures should be temporary and removed as trust is restored. Be patient with the process. Trust that was broken over months or years will not be rebuilt in weeks. There will be setbacks and difficult moments. But if both spouses are committed to the process, trust can be fully restored. Celebrate progress. Acknowledge the small steps and improvements along the way. Rebuilding trust is hard work, and recognizing progress helps maintain motivation for the long journey. Healing a marriage requires unwavering commitment from both spouses. Commitment is what sustains you through the difficult days when feelings are absent and hope seems distant. Commitment is the decision to keep working on your marriage regardless of how you feel. Remember your wedding vows. You promise to love each other for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, until death parts you. These weren't just nice words. They were sacred promises made before me and witnesses. Understand that commitment is a choice, not a feeling. Love is both a feeling and a choice, but commitment is purely a choice. When loving feelings are absent, commitment is what keeps you working toward the restoration of those feelings. Remove divorce as an option in your thinking and vocabulary. As long as divorce remains a viable option in your mind, you'll be tempted to give up when things get difficult. When divorce is not an option, you're forced to find ways to make the marriage work. Focus on being the spouse you promised to be rather than demanding that your spouse change first. You can only control your own actions and attitudes. When you focus on being the best spouse you can be, it often inspires change in your partner. Seek support from people who believe in marriage and will encourage you to keep fighting for your relationship. Avoid people who encourage you to give up or who don't understand the commitment you made. Remember that commitment is what allows love to be reborn. When you're committed to working on your marriage, even when you don't feel in love, you create the opportunity for love to return and grow even stronger than before. While I work supernaturally to heal marriages, I also expect you to take practical steps to cooperate with my healing work. Here are specific actions you can take to participate in the healing of your marriage. Start with personal healing. Deal with your own issues, wounds, and baggage that contribute to marital problems. Get counseling if needed, address addictions, heal from past traumas, and work on your own character development. Establish new patterns of interaction. If your current patterns are destructive, consciously create new ways of relating to each other. This might include new communication rules, different conflict resolution strategies, or changed daily routines. Create positive experiences together. Start doing things you enjoy together. Take up a new hobby, plan regular dates, take trips, or simply spend unstructured time together. Positive experiences create new positive memories. Express appreciation and gratitude. Make a deliberate effort to notice and verbally appreciate the good things your spouse does. Gratitude changes your perspective and your spouse's motivation. Serve each other. Look for ways to meet your spouse's needs, make their life easier, or show love through actions. Service is love in action and helps restore emotional connection. Pray together. If your spouse is willing, begin praying together regularly. If they're not willing, pray for them and for your marriage consistently. Prayer invites my involvement in your healing process. Get outside help. Consider marriage counseling, support groups, or mentoring from couples who have healed their own marriages. Sometimes outside perspective and professional help are necessary for breakthrough. Sometimes only one spouse is willing to work on the marriage while the other is resistant, checked out, or actively working against reconciliation. If you're the spouse who wants to heal the marriage, don't give up hope. There are still things you can do. Focus on what you can control, your own actions, attitudes, and responses. You cannot force your spouse to work on the marriage, but you can work on yourself and be the best spouse you can be regardless of their response. Love unconditionally without enabling destructive behavior. Show love through your actions and attitudes while maintaining appropriate boundaries. Don't make it easy for your spouse to continue harmful behaviors. Pray consistently for your spouse and your marriage. Prayer changes hearts and circumstances in ways that human effort cannot. Ask me to work in your spouse's heart and to remove whatever is hindering them from working on the marriage. Get support for yourself. Being the only one working on a marriage is exhausting and discouraging. Find a counselor, support group, or trusted friend who can encourage you and help you process your emotions. Give your spouse space to change without pressure. Sometimes resistance comes from feeling pressured or controlled. Back off from demanding change and simply model the behavior and attitudes you want to see. Set boundaries about what behavior you will and will not accept. Loving someone doesn't mean accepting abuse, addiction, or other destructive behaviors. Sometimes boundaries create the crisis necessary for change. Don't give up too quickly. Hearts can change, perspectives can shift, and resistant spouses can have breakthroughs. What seems impossible today may become possible tomorrow with patience and prayer. I want to give you a promise today that you can hold on to during the darkest days of your marriage struggle. I will heal your marriage if you let me. This is not just hope. This is a promise based on my character, my power, and my love for you both. Your marriage can be saved. No matter how bad things have gotten, no matter how much damage has been done, No matter how hopeless it seems, your marriage can be healed. I specialize in resurrections, and I can resurrect your love, your intimacy, and your joy. Your love can be restored. The love you once felt for each other is not gone forever. It's buried under hurt, disappointment, and resentment. As healing occurs, as forgiveness flows, as intimacy returns, love will be reborn stronger than ever. Your marriage can become better than it was before. Healed marriages are often stronger than marriages that never faced serious problems. The process of healing builds character, deepens love, and creates intimacy that shallow relationships never achieve. Your testimony will encourage others. Your healed marriage will become a source of hope for other couples who are struggling. Your story of restoration will demonstrate my power and faithfulness to heal broken relationships. I am already working in your marriage even when you can't see it. I'm softening hearts, creating opportunities for healing, bringing people into your life who can help, and orchestrating circumstances that will lead to restoration. Don't give up. Don't walk away. Don't stop believing. Your marriage is worth fighting for, your love is worth restoring, and your commitment is worth honoring. I will heal your marriage, and it will be beautiful.